Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of CWN Predicts NXT Stand Deliver 2024, taking place live this afternoon on Peacock, the WWE Network, on that is 12 o'clock p.m. Yes, I'm not used to saying that because it's well, it is WrestleMania weekend, that is for sure. And the fact is, when it comes to all these pay-per-views, PLEs, just events in general, I'm so used to saying 8 o'clock p.m. on WWE Network as well as Peacock. That is not the case. So Stand and Deliver 2024 live this afternoon, 12 o'clock p.m. Peacock, WWE Network, Countdown, which I'm still getting used to saying as well, Countdown. So it used to be Kickoff, but now they've changed into Countdown for the PLEs for WB. So Countdown, 11 o'clock a.m. That is on Peacock Social Media WWE Network, taking place in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Guys, this is number 2 as far as CWN Predicts goes. Yesterday, I did ROH Supercard of Honor 2024. And, I got one more tonight with regards to WrestleMania Saturday and one more tomorrow with regards to WrestleMania Sunday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches announced, including one match on the Countdown show. Still weird saying Countdown. I know it used to be Kickoff, but it is the Countdown show. That is a singles match taking place between the one and only Joe Gacy and Shawn Spears. So, guys, if you're familiar with my taste in wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, SmackDown primarily over Raw. We got Impact Wrestling, which is now TNA Wrestling. I haven't watched that in a bit. I got to catch up on that as well. And then NXT. I've been a huge fan of NXT the past couple of weeks, past couple of months, so to speak. So storylines, all this sort of stuff. Joe Gacy is one crazy SOB. I tell you that. His matches with Dijak, as well as just his personality as a whole. It's interesting to see Ava interact with him the way she does because of obviously Schism and the way that played out. But man, he's a crazy SOB. I shouldn't say unfortunately, because fortunately it played out the fact that basically he was in a match with Obafemi. Obafemi just basically destroyed him. And then he went to throw that kind of that chuck toss that he does. Referee stops the match. The crowd went silent. Everybody was, kind of I shouldn't say upset, but concerned about Joe Gacy and whether or not he was all right. Then backstage segment happens this past week on NXT. He crawls into Ava's office, says, "I want a match. I need to get revenge on Shawn Spears." And well, sure enough, we get a match, singles match Countdown show. Joe Gacy, Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears, another one, man. When he announced his departure from AEW, it's kind of like. It was like, okay, he's got family, he's got I don't know if his second child's been born, but he's got one kid there with Peyton Royce. God, I forget her real name, but Peyton Royce, let's just call her. And, a child with her and second child on the way. And I was just, he's in his 40s and, maybe he just wants to retire and focus on flatbacks and just focus on being a dad and whatever the case may be. And then sure enough, he shows up in NXT. It was like, holy crap. And now he's fighting Joe Gacy. It's going to be interesting because Joe Gacy just I watched that match with Dijak on the last PLE, and Gacy got the crap kicked out of him, and then all of a sudden he got pinned, and then he's got a smile on his face right after he got pinned, like he enjoys the punishment. And Shawn Spears, obviously being the chairman, obviously I think it's just a regular singles match. I don't think there's any stipulations involved, but Spears gets that. He's a good talented wrestler, but he gets that chair. It's a different story, but the Spears, this could make Spears go nuts. If Gacy picks up the win, does Spears start to go nuts down there in NXT? Obviously, Ridge Holland, his everything that went along with him. But does Gacy get it's funny because I went into this thinking I'm going to pick Shawn Spears, and I basically just changed my mind as I'm talking about it. I'm going to say Joe Gacy for the win, for the upset against Shawn Spears here. And then Shawn Spears, kind of, you're going to see storyline-wise, kind of has to figure out how to beat Joe Gacy because it seems simple. He, planned an attack on Gacy, and the next thing you know, it backfires. So I'm going to say Shawn Spears loses in this match on the Countdown show. Joe Gacy for the win there. Main card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches announced. 6-woman tag team match. Thea Hale, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley taking on JC Jane, Kiana James, Izzy Dame, and Jasmine Nix in their corner. This played out this past Tuesday on NXT. Obviously, Ava just said, that's enough, and I'm going to book a match. And it's been interesting that the transformation of Thea Hale to a bad girl, so to speak, back to Chase U, back to now all of a sudden being almost best friends with Fallon Henley. But then the other side of things, JC Jane kind of continuing this persona of toxic attraction. Kiana James, Izzy Dame there. It's looks like a good mix to me. Still getting familiar with the women's scene as far as some of these women goes. Like Kalani Jordan's new. Fallon Henley, obviously drifted off from her association with Briggs. And the other side of things, Izzy Dame. I'm still getting used to some of these names, but the fact is Jasmine Nix as well. But I think the mix is good. And Thea Hale aligning herself with Fallon Henley, but then JC Jane with Kiana James, it's a good mix. So I'm going to say, does Thea get a revenge in this match? I don't know. Because what do you do past this? I mean, to me, it was the build-up to Chase U and JC Jane be like, oh, I saved Chase U and blah, 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 blah. And I pretended to be your friend and this and that. And fact is, when it comes down to it, yes, I'm going to say this. Thea Hale, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley for the win. Thea Hale finally gets a revenge on JC Jane after everything that's transpired with JC Jane and Chase U. So I'm going to say Thea Hale for the win. Getting the I'm going to say she gets the pin here. I don't know. I'm going to say she gets the pin on JC Jane, or she gets JC Jane to tap out, one of the two. But I'm going to say Thea Hale wins the match by getting JC Jane to tap out or pins her in this match. So Thea Hale, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley for the win in this one here. NXT Tag Team Championship match. This I'm undecided on. So you get the Wolf Dogs, Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin. Never thought I'd be a fan of these guys, but the transformation of the character of Baron Corbin. Braun Breaker still doing his thing down there in NXT. Baron Corbin being a legit tough guy with regards to having his ear ripped apart with regards to Otis a couple of weeks ago. That was just unreal. But Corbin's a tough guy, and Braun Breaker, you got the big tough monster and the kind of the small. I'd say pit bull because that's Ivy Niles' thing, but kind of Braun Breaker just being as strong and as explosive as he is, and then Axiom and Nathan Frazier on the other side of things. To me, Wolf Dogs, as strong as they've been, bring it back down to NXT. So let Baron Corbin, let Braun Breaker go back up to main roster. Obviously, Braun Breaker SmackDown. Baron Corbin, I think, believes still be SmackDown, but give Axiom and Nathan Frazier the win. These guys are quick. These guys are phenomenal. They've got charisma, personality, all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to say Axiom, Nathan Frazier need the win, and I'm going to say yes. Axiom, Nathan Frazier, and New taking over the championships from the Wolf Dogs there, and we'll see what happens with the Wolf Dogs. I'm going to say there's no goodbyes. I'm just going to say that's it for the Wolf Dogs NXT. They make their way back up to main roster there. So Axiom, Nathan Frazier for the win and new champions there. Triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. I am a big fan of Obafemi. I forget where it was, but he reminds me of if you took basically Ron Simmons, Mark Henry, and I forget I think even Omos, and put all three of those guys together. And what would you have? You'd have Obafemi. This guy is a beast. He's a monster. He's got personality. He knows his strengths. He's still learning the business. He looks great as North American champion. To think about Dragon Lee, I think he was previous champ, and then all of a sudden, the speed, the quickness, Dragon Lee doing his thing now for WB, and all of a sudden Obafemi taking over, and I can see this guy as NXT champion someday. He's just got that talent, the charisma. Like I said, Ron Simmons, Mark Henry, and almost all into one. But Obafemi taking on Dijak, Josh Briggs, triple threat match. Josh Briggs, new attitude. Dijak, he's talented, but I never see NXT ever really doing anything with this guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a beast and he's talented, but the fact is he just doesn't have that factor, so to speak, with regards to being champion and carrying the championship. Now, I could be wrong. Josh Briggs, up and comer, obviously, he's no longer part of that tag team scene. And then Obafemi, I'm going to say Obafemi destroys both of these guys. Obafemi for the win. Excuse me. And do we see Obafemi basically champion versus champion? I think it would be cool as well. But I see Obafemi taking this match, triple threat match. Obafemi for the win to retain the NXT North American Championship. Next match, triple semi-main event, so to speak, NXT Women's Championship match. Lyra Valkyria with Tatum Paxley, I'm assuming it's going to be in her corner, taking on the prodigy Roxanne Perez. I wanted to see Roxanne Perez as a heel. I wanted to see that side of her come out. She was a great baby face, she was very personable, very loving, just kind of like, oh, that's okay. That's okay. I'll do it next time. And then all of a sudden this badass heel has come out, and, they were on the what they call the Noam Dar sessions, the Supernova sessions this past Tuesday, and Roxanne just got under her skin, and the next thing you know, Valkyria basically took her head off, planted her through the table, and but that being said, Perez, has tried to get that championship back. She's lost out on it. Obviously, Lyra Valkyria, she beat the one and only Becky Lynch to get that championship. So to me, it's she's a strong champ, and who she beat makes her even stronger champion. But I'm going to say the time is now for the prodigy Roxanne Perez to basically take that throne once again. So I'm going to say Roxanne Perez. I'm going to say, and this is something too, because Valkyria says she wants to do anything she possibly could to retain that championship. And Tatum Paxley was right there and kind of looked on as she was saying this. As Tatum Paxley cost her the match, does Tatum Paxley take the side of Roxanne Perez? I think she's part of the match, the finish, so to speak. But I'm going to say Roxanne Perez for the win and new NXT Women's Champion. And I'm going to say Tatum Paxley has some kind of play in basically the finish, how it plays out there. Whether or not she aligns with Roxanne, or whether or not she turns on Lyra Valkyria on her own, or whether or not there's kind of a miscommunication, whatever the case may be. I'm going to say Roxanne Perez for the win for the championship there. Second last match of the night, NXT Championship match, which is kind of weird saying second last match of the night, but the Mad Dragon Ilya Dragunov taking on the Dawn of NXT, Tony D'Angelo with the family. Assuming the family's going to be ringside. Haven't heard anything with regards to them being barred. You might see Tony D'Angelo be like, oh, I'm going to do this on my own, and all of a sudden they come out later on. But the segments have been interesting, especially the one this past Tuesday with regards to the new restaurant, so to speak. And Dragunov, to me, he should be a beast. Okay, he should be somebody who just basically is not afraid of anything. And to see the look and concern in his face this past Tuesday, that to me is not his character. Do you drop the title with Dragunov, or there's so many ways to do this. Carmelo Hayes, I'll get into this in a moment, but Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, obviously main event. Dragunov, so let's see. Dragunov keeps the title. How do you put the title on Trick Williams? Or do you take basically Dragunov, and then basically Carmelo Hayes takes the title off of him, and then Trick Williams finally takes the title off Carmelo Hayes? There's so much going on with this, because with this being said, does D'Angelo lose and then head up to the main roster with the gimmick with the family, because that's that strong of a gimmick right now? And WrestleMania is obviously WrestleMania season. They have the opportunity, the ability to bring up the other talent, NXT talent, post WrestleMania show. So many different ways they can go with this. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Dragunov retains, and this is the end of Tony D'Angelo with regards to NXT. He makes main roster after this. So I'm going to say Dragunov retains. And this, I didn't even think about this, but yeah, this to me makes sense because of the way the family has been a strong unit. To me, it's even Trick Williams going up to main roster would be something else. But I think Trick Williams has a lot more left to do down there in NXT, especially with the fact he's real life couple with Lash Legend. So I'm going to say that's Dragunov for the win to retain. This is the end of Tony D'Angelo with regards to NXT. That is a big prediction right there. I'm going to say Tony D'Angelo and the family head up to the main roster. We've seen it with other factions. We've seen it with Legado del Fantasma. I think the time is right. So I'm going to say, as strong as of showing D'Angelo has made the past couple of weeks with going after that NXT championship, I'm going to say he doesn't get the championship. I'm going to say he heads up the main roster with the family. Dragunov retains. That being said, main event coming up, Trick Williams taking on Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes, I don't think the story's finished here. So Carmelo Hayes, I'm going to say this. As much as everybody wants to see Trick Williams have his moment, and this is a bold prediction as well, here at NXT Stand Deliver this afternoon, I'm going to say Carmelo Hayes wins this match. There's no stipulations, no titles on the line, just two basically former buddies battling it out. I'm going to say Carmelo Hayes picks up the win, has the argument, he battles Dragunov, takes the title eventually from Dragunov, and then Trick Williams coming up at, I know Battleground's coming up. I know there's a Heat Wave taking place in Toronto in July, taking place as well. But I'm going to say this, Dragunov retains in the semi-main event. Carmelo Hayes beats Trick Williams, as much as everybody's going to hate me saying that. Carmelo Hayes beats Trick Williams in that match, sets up between Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, in a match. Carmelo Hayes is going to win. This is future booking, by the way. And then Trick Williams will eventually take that championship off of Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes will move off the main roster. But yeah, that being said, Dragunov retains and Carmelo Hayes picks up the win in the main event. It's Trick Willie, Trick Mello gang. I think it's going to continue past this event today, Stand and Deliver. The only thing the bold prediction, okay? The family, D'Angelo, head up to, I'm not going to say Raw, I'm going to say SmackDown. They're more probably better prone for SmackDown. Dragunov retains, Carmelo Hayes wins. Dragunov gets beat by Carmelo Hayes eventually sometime in the next little while, and then Trick Williams finally gets his moment, defeating Carmelo Hayes for that title. So yeah, a bunch of bold predictions there, and it kind of went outside the box. But as I'm looking at this, yes, I can see that happening because everybody's like, main event today, Stand and Deliver, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, nothing on the line. I mean, obviously bragging rights, of course, but nothing on the line, no stipulations, no championship. So it's going to be interesting to see where NXT heads in the next little while. Battleground apparently was supposed to be, I forget where it was supposed to be in May. That got pushed to June. I think it's taking place the Apex in Las Vegas. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but numerous sources reporting it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. So like I said, NXT Stand and Deliver 2024 live this afternoon, 12 o'clock p.m. Peacock WB Network. Countdown 11 o'clock p.m. Peacock Social Media WB Network. Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is the first of two today as far as prediction shows go. Singles match on the Countdown show, I picked Joe Gacy to defeat Shawn Spears. Main card, Thea Hale, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley defeats JC Jane, Kiana James, Izzy Dame. Thea Hale makes JC Jane tap out or she pins her. That is the prediction there. NXT Tag Team Championship match, Axiom Nathan Frazier defeat the Wolf Dogs to become new champs. Triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. Obafemi defeats Dijak and Josh Briggs is my prediction there. Laya Valkyria, Tatum Paxley in her corner. Prodigy Roxanne Perez. Perez beats her. Tatum Paxley is involved in the finish somehow, but Perez is new champ. Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov taking on the Donna NXT, Tony D'Angelo with the family. D'Angelo go down. Dragunov is retains and is still NXT champion. And then the main event, Trick Williams, yes, loses to Carmelo Hayes in the main event to set up future there. Yes, that bold predictions there. But guys, follow me at Chris Maloney, CWN on social media. You can check me out, Chris at CWNonline.ca. I almost said .com. I never say that. So Chris at CWNonline.ca as far as email goes. Like I said, this is the first of two today. I will be back later on this afternoon with regards to predictions for WB WrestleMania XL Saturday night 1, so to speak. Huge main event coming up tonight, obviously. And then tomorrow I'll be back for CWN Predicts as well for WrestleMania Sunday. Man, huge weekend, and it's been enjoyable and exciting, and it's once a year, and I get excited for it like Christmas and Easter and everything all rolled up into one. But guys, that is it for another edition of CWN Predicts. That's NXT Stand Deliver 2024. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Check me out later on for CWN Predicts. Like I said, WrestleMania Saturday. I'll be back later on this afternoon, and that is all there is to it. So thank you very much for watching and listening, and I will see and talk to everybody again sometime soon.